Here's how I think about mobility inside the confidence cycle, the 1 set of 20. So, episode 1 was all about starting where you are, right? But episode 2 is why mobility comes before adding load, specifically in our 1 set of 20 confidence cycle. I used to think pain meant I had to get stronger, right? But turns out all I really needed was better movements. So before I could lift and lift heavier, I needed better movement quality. I didn't learn this until like 2 years into my fitness journey, and that was during my squat cycle. So I was really wanting to improve my squats, but it felt uncomfortable. So once I focused on better movements, the strength started to feel a lot smoother. It felt a lot more comfortable, and I had more control. That led to having more confidence inside and outside the gym. So before better lifts, we have to do warm-ups, meaning mobility and dynamic stretching. This is important because it prevents injuries. It also enhances performance, increases range of motion, activates the nervous system. So by increasing blood flow, these movements prepare your joints and muscles to handle heavier loads. That's why I train this way. So let's always remember movement first, then strength second. So for instance, if your knees feel tight during your back squats, or your hips feel a little rusty, right, during those RDLs, or I notice the first few reps of my back squats or main lifts, they just felt uncomfortable and I didn't feel as confident. Or sometimes, even when I didn't have heavier weight on, just squatting the bar felt heavy. So if your first few reps of your main lift feels uncomfortable or just feels a little bit heavier and rusty, you've come to the right place. This video is for you. So in my 1 set of 20 confidence cycle, mobility isn't just extra. It's a part of the program. This is why it works. They are a big part of lifting because warm-ups are essential for priming the muscles for lifting. We are all about preventing injuries. So I like to use mobility to unlock what feels restricted, right? And light activation to remind the right muscles to show up before the set. So I like to think light load plus long sets equal feedback, right? These lighter reps in the beginning provide more learning, repeatability, and execution with motor learning and also priming and preventing injuries. So I'll give you a tip before starting that 1 set of 20 with the back squats. Before I head right into the lift, I like to do a warm up. I'll do a light set with just the bar or just body weight, 1 set of 10. Here I'm really feeling the movement, feeling where things might feel tight, where I might feel a little ache, where I may need to learn a little bit more mobility, right? This is all feedback. It's prime data. The way your body feels during these movements is prime data for what you may need to work on or improve. So with doing mobility workouts and then do that 1 set of 10 with lightweight, it makes the reps feel smoother, not as hard, and you feel more confident under the bar. It gives you practice. You're learning repetition, right? So essentially, I pick my mobility off of the movements I'm doing. So my mobility is mimicking my main lifts. So one of the workouts I love doing before my back squat, so I'll do a deep squat hold to hamstring stretch or a deep squat. But then I like to head into dorsiflexion rocks for ankle mobility. So dorsiflexion rocks is a small mobility move where you gently move your knee forward over your toes while also keeping your heel flat on the ground. So what you're doing, you're rocking the ankle into dorsiflexion. So you're keeping your toes toward your shin. So we're improving how far our ankle can bend, which is essential. If you're like me, your goal is for you to be able to do a deep squat. I want depth in my squat, so I want my ankles to really be mobile and also flexible. I like to do a half kneeling stance. Keep your heel down and then slowly rock your knee forward towards your toes and then rock back to start. I like to do these a couple of times before I do a deep hamstring stretch. And you want to repeat this movement smoothly, right? You want your body to get used to this movement, to get strong in this movement. This helps with your deep squat depth, less ankle stiffness, improving balance and knee traction, and then also prepping your ankles before your lifts, like squats, lunges, also jumps. I did a lot of these during my jump rope circuits and also during the summer when I did my supersets and trisets. So you want to keep your heel like heavy on the ground. You want your knee to move forward, and you want to make sure it's slow and controlled. We want to take our time, right? That's one move that I love and I keep inside of my lower body mobility warm-up routines. So this is one of my favorite movements when I first started doing my mobility and then also becoming serious about it. It would be the 990 hip openers. So you first want to sit tall on the floor. Also, you want your front leg bent at about 90 degrees, back leg bent at about 90 degrees. Keep your chest upright, okay? Gently lean forward over the front leg or rotating through the hips, and also switch sides. I like to do this for about 30 seconds to about 90 seconds. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. Sometimes your hips may be tighter than others, right? So you want to work through it and make sure you feel comfortable. It helps with hip rotation. This is key for squats, lunges, also split squats, because I love split squats, right? This reduces hip stiffness, also better lower body mechanics, and it improves your comfort during that deep squat position. Once I started doing this, I can hold a deep squat for such a long time. I love 990 hip openers. So if you haven't already added it into your lower body mobility routine, make sure you add it. So make sure you sit tall, rotate from your hips, not your lower back. And don't force the control, but also control the range, right? Just make sure you're comfortable, and then you'll gradually find it to become a little bit easier to move better, because essentially we're all about moving better in the gym and also outside of the gym. So I like to stress that these movements aren't random. When I first started doing mobility, I would say it was kind of random because I didn't really know what I was doing. But as I started to express what my true goal was in fitness and during my journey and what I wanted to work on, the mobility mimicked the exercises I was doing to improve in them, right? So they're not random. These movements are going to match my lifts. They're also going to match my life. I like to do mobility outside of the gym too. I have a mobility routine that I do in the evening before I go to bed, just so I can feel better right in the morning, because I'm not just getting stronger in the gym. I want to get stronger in real life. I take care of my nieces. I'm picking up stuff. I'm putting down things. I'm stepping on curbs. I'm stepping off of curbs. At this age, I want to make my everyday movements feel safer, but also feel more confident. So I love doing RDLs, right? But sometimes I have stiffness in my ankles and also hips. So I like to do adductor rockbacks. That was a movement that I recently learned. And you're essentially shifting your hips back towards your heel and then back forward. And you do that a couple of times while keeping one leg tucked and the other leg stretched out to your side. I'll show you a clip of what that looks like. This helps me feel a lot more comfortable in my RDL set, and I also don't feel as weak as I did before. See, this is what training in your 30s looks like, right? You don't skip mobility. You earn your strength by moving better. Every day, we're working toward moving better. So episode 1 was all about starting where you are, right? But episode 2 is how you can stay consistent without pain. In my earlier journey, I felt a lot more pain because I didn't prioritize mobility, warming up and cooling down. And I felt a lot more fatigue. I felt like I couldn't be consistent in the gym because I was so tired and my muscles were aching. So during that time, I wasn't getting enough rest. I wasn't doing recovery activities. I wasn't doing mobility. So it kept me out the gym. I found myself only being in the gym like 1 week. I was in there 2 weeks. The next week I wasn't in there at all because I was so sore. The next week after that I was in there 1 day. So I wasn't being consistent and I wasn't seeing progress. All I saw was frustration. I just felt frustrated. But once I started adding mobility into my routine, it made me feel a lot more comfortable in the gym and doing my other workouts and my main lifts to the point where I can't help but be consistent because I created a strategy to help make me feel good inside, to where I'm so motivated that I get so excited to go to the gym and work out. Like mobility and stretching and cooling down, chef's kiss, like chef's kiss. I have seen so much improvement and it made me feel stronger and be stronger when doing my main lifts and being consistent. I find that I don't have much burnout. I find that I'm not as tired, all right, getting into the gym. I feel like sometimes I felt fatigue once I got to the gym when it came to working out, but warming up your muscles, getting that blood flowing before your main lifts, I'm well prepared to back squat, to do some overhead press, to do some RDLs. So let's talk about it. Where do you feel the most tight at? Also, what workouts seem just a little bit uncomfortable? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself before getting into your main lifts, because you can find some workouts that will help aid in helping you feel a lot more comfortable about doing the workout and also prepping your body before your main lifts. If you are over the age of 30 and are a member of the desk life, like I work from home, I sit at a desk for like 10 hours. So my back and shoulder pain, it's a lot, and it's a common among a lot of us. So during my upper body days, I treat them just like I treat my lower body days. They are essential. I think sometimes we can prioritize lower body women more than upper body, but I found that prioritizing warm-ups in general when it comes to your full body is chef's kiss, right? So working at a desk, I find that I have that pinching pain in my shoulders. My shoulders are tight. My lower back hurts because I'm sitting, right? So I like to do a lot of arm circles. I'll do 30 seconds forward and 30 seconds back before my upper body routine. I also have like this cross body stretch warm up I do. I'm not sure what it's called, but I feel like that is very helpful in my upper body routine and also getting my shoulders warmed up for the movement. And then I also like to do some shoulder external rotations for that pinch in my back. I like to do 2 sets of 10, and I'll just take light weight and do that external rotation. That's really helpful. I notice if my back feels a little weird on day 1, if I do the work on day 2 and go through that mobility routine and then come home and do a little bit more stretching, stretching your neck out side to side, that's another movement I do. I find on day 3, my shoulder feels good. It feels a lot more healthy, right? I feel like I can actually lift the weight during my overhead press. I don't feel like it warms my body up properly for the movements. So to wrap things up, because this video is getting kind of long, I didn't need more weight on the bar. I needed better movements first. When movement quality is poor, strength just reinforces bad patterns, okay? So longer sets expose restrictions, imbalances, and overcompensating that I had going on, and you can't hide it when it comes to your form. So I focused on moving well first because that's what makes strength last. And so this 1 set of 20, I think I created the perfect warm-up routine for full body that I found I did every single day during this routine to help me feel stronger. And so this video wasn't just about showing you my mobility routine. It was the framework behind why you should have a warm-up and mobility routine, okay? I did share a couple of workouts with you that are essential in my warm-up routine, so definitely give those a try and let me know what you think. They're really helpful for me, and I hope they're helpful for you. Stay tuned, because I think I'm going to release a 14-day mobility program for you all that's helpful, and maybe add in some daytime and also evening routines, some routines you can do before you go to sleep at night, because I find that I do that even more often now in my 30s than I did in my 20s. So I'll see you guys in my next video. Like this video. I can't wait to record.
As I get a little older, I realize life is perspective, and my perspective may differ from yours. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been down with me. All my fans, all my beautiful